Hi guys, my name is Lars Fredenlund. Could you set the timer please? There's no timer. My name is Lars Fredenlund. I am CEO and co-founder of a company called CoBuilder. I've been working with this topic of data templates for approximately 10, 12 years, something like that. Been working since 1997 on the topic. So what I will present today is around data templates. This is work done in CEN 442. This is the BIM standardization in Europe. So why do we need a common way of describing what we are planning and what we're building? So in this, it's important to understand that we need to standardize. So what we understood is that like 10 years ago, I think, we understood that we need to have a standard on how to describe information on objects, which could be assets, which could be products, which could be spaces, which could be buildings, which could be actually anything. But we need to have a common way of describing that. So what we saw is that we need to implement a data dictionary, where all of us in this room, we use a common dictionary to describe what we do or what we need. So let's say if you log into a software, you need to describe any characteristics of a space, a room, or a product. We need to have a common language. So this is where the data template comes into play. So we need to build data templates. What is more complex is actually how the Slovakian legal framework is built. And this is the complexity. This is where the EU legal framework, such as construction product regulation, comes into play. So if we talk about, I saw that Wienerberger has a stand here. If we talk about a brick, is it any common language where we talk about the characteristic of a brick? Yes, it is. It's a European standard. It's a product standard, which describes everything, mostly everything you need to know about a brick. So what's important is that there is existing documents like product standards in Europe that actually opens up the barrier between actors like architects, engineers, contractors, and manufacturers. So we have to look to those documents to be able to describe what a brick is. It's just an example with a brick. The complexity of what this is, and I've been working a lot with a lot of manufacturers, a lot of contractors, engineers, architects, and this is almost like taking the red pill in Matrix. So when you understand it, you never go back. So to get to that point of understanding the complexity of data dictionaries and data templates, that is complex. But when you actually get it, you don't go back. One example. So these standards has a starting point of official documents. So on this slide, you will see that there is a European norm of describing this is a window, I think, which is implemented in all European countries. So that means that that document is the source of describing width, the width of the window, the width of the glass, when I open the window, the fire escape width, and so on. Wind, water, fire, sound, solar factor, everything is in that document. And that document is mandatory in Europe. This document actually provides the CE mark of a product and provides that opportunity to buy and sell and purchase products in between countries in Europe. If you come outside of Europe, you have to comply with European standards. In America, they have other standards. Then they're talking about inches and other stuff, but there is still a window. So then an object can have different templates depending on where you are. And the content of the template could be recorded from different use cases, let's say. I'll come back to environmental and EU Green Deal later on. I took this because I asked yesterday about the audience. So this is a heavy slide. So this is something from the, it's an infographic from the European norm called the EN ISO 23386. So this is a Slovakian standard. So you can just search and you'll find it. And that standard, your national standard, is all about the process on how to develop information. This standard. This is just showing kind of how much information, like attributes, you need around a property to describe what is fire, what is color, what is what. So the very important part here is that there is this orange thing, this GUID, which software use. So then we can actually have software to understand what is a width of something, what is a length of something. So then we can connect all the different actors in the supply chain using one GUID to describe what we are talking about. Today, I know that a lot of people use Excel to describe things like asset information requirements or anything you need in, let's say, Revit. You sit and you actually develop, or you use the existing attributes or properties in your software. Using a dictionary then bridges the gap between you and the manufacturer, or you and the building owner, you and any actor. So how about other industries? How do they work? So if we look at other industries, we use BIM. So what about the car industry? Do they model their cars? Yes, they do. Do the car industry know which product or which each component in that car, do they know where it comes from? Yes. Do they know if it's tested and certified? Yes. Do they know who manufactured it? Yes. So if we look at the construction industry, do we know what the different stakeholders bring into the building? No. This is the change. You will know. You will be able to actually plan what you're going to build, and then you order components which is fit for use. That's a big change because everything today is on project level. So we need to look at this more holistically so that when I'm planning, when I'm building, like ordering, when I'm operating, or if I want to recycle something, I need to handle that as data, information. And that's where you need trusted, let's say, trusted data that could be reused and reused and reused. So I'm working with, in the Nordics with several contractors, and they see this. So now they can actually change their behavior on all their projects. Everyone uses the same common language, data dictionary, and then they use data templates to describe what they're planning to do. And it's a huge change. So how can we then meet what the European Commission has pointed on EU Green Deal and circularity? So how can we go from where we are today to be more circular and more green? So then we have to look at everything that comes into the project. What do we deliver? What comes on trucks into the construction site? We have to have that knowledge so that we actually know things like how many kilos of carbon is in that delivery with the concrete, for instance, just an example. And these questions can be answered. But you have to go to that truck and see what is delivered. And then we can drive a reduction. What's the footprint of 1 square meter of wall? What's the footprint of these windows? What's the footprint of steel? What's the footprint of everything? When you know, you can start to say, this is the level and we want to reduce it. But it has to be on that level. European legal framework. This is a slide from Construction Products Europe. This is the Association for Manufacturers in Europe. I'm working there with Paul Søren, actually sitting here in this audience. And we cannot forget the European legal framework. So BIM, where is BIM in this picture, guys? Actually, nowhere. Nowhere. The EU legal framework is talking about construction product regulation, low volt directive, machinery directive, REACH for chemicals, and so on. So, and what they're looking towards is levels, green public procurement, building logbook, like what's installed, and circular economy. This is the driver, and the EU Green Deal is a game changer. So I think, but not I think, I see clearly now that EU Green Deal is more like an avalanche. Just comes boom, much faster than digitalization itself. So again, in this slide, I put construction product data templates there. So we need a way of transporting information to make a common language between actors, between countries. So this is a slide just to explain how the data templates is done. So in CEN 442, you see on the left-hand side there are 2 standards. One is the one on process, so data governance, how to describe information to make it trustworthy. That's 23386. And then there is another one, 23387, which is the data templates. That's kind of the framework. So then you have to look at what need. So if I'm an architect, what do I need? If I'm an engineer, if I am a manufacturer, what information do I need to give you a price of that window? What information do I need? So then this has to be recorded between parties, agreed, and then we can start communicating using a standard. So the framework is a standard, but in reality, I send the information to you. I'm asking you to set the requirements of something. I just want also to show this. This is ongoing work. This is the environmental data. I'm not sure if you guys know about EPDs, environmental product declarations. But these standards is there to actually digitize the environmental information, EPD data. So that I know when I purchase a product, I can see what is the price, what is the technical specification like fire, wind, water, whatever. And very importantly for us, we need to know the footprint. Where is it manufactured? What's the distance on distribution and things like that. So I can look at the price and the impacts. And this will change the industry as we know it. Because clients, the building owners, they will require carbon reduction. And then price is not everything. An example from, this is based on work that we are doing with NCC. This is a contractor. They work in 4 different countries. They work in Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. They have building regulations that are different in each country. And what they want is that all the architects, all the engineers, them the manufacturer, everyone, to have platform where they can say, how can we describe, I'm using the window as an example, how can we describe a window in a way so that all our projects, it's around 1,000, can use the same template in early design, on the construction site, and during operations. This has led to a way that they can do cost calculations, they can do purchasing, planning of production, both with the manufacturer, because the manufacturer gets information way too earlier, much earlier. They can look at the sustainability part with footprints. They can plan their production, and they can actually know what is installed, and if they want to reorder something, they have accurate data on what is designed and actually what is delivered. So this is, for them, a game changer. So for them, this is strategy. It's not technology. It's how to change their behavior, which is linked to person. And this is maybe one of the biggest hurdles. It's actually how to change people's, let's say, way of thinking. I just want to mention one more thing, because sometimes we forget about the manufacturers. And actually, the manufacturers is maybe the most important part here, because a lot of the information on actually what we see here is owned by the manufacturer. So when we design something, we actually need to install a product, install a system. And the owner of that and the owner of that data is the manufacturer. So the gap we have between design and operations today is going to be closed. So that means that the distribution of information will go much more direct with the manufacturer, sitting in Revit, in ArchiCAD. You will be sitting, working on requirements, talking directly to the manufacturers into their ERP systems. It's a huge change. In the middle there, I just want to say that we need also to have identifiers. So identifiers of assets, identifiers of products. So in this area, there is an organization that started this in the 1970s that are more used than Google every day. It's the barcodes. Beep, beep, beep. It's more used than Google. So I'm working a lot with GS1, this organization, to also to make sure not to forget the importance of identifiers. So if you have a BIM model and you have a GTIN in the BIM model, you solved a lot. Then you could just use that barcode to say, I need to reorder this product. Easy. All other industries almost has done it. They're using GTINs. So I just wanted to mention that. Now I'm going to hand it a little bit over to Marcia. What we are working on is there is an extension on the ISO work. It's called Level of Information Need. This is the most important standard, I think, now, because it involves actors, milestones, objects, and purpose. So the data template there is very important. It's the alphanumeric information. It's not the model itself, but it's more like the database outside. So that is where any actor can look at the purpose, say, I need information for something, and then you can drive a more purpose-based, machine-readable answer. So this standardization, this is the last slide, guys. This standardization is ongoing in CEN 442. And on the left-hand side, you have the common data environments, which I think most of you guys know. That's where we have the model and documents very often today. You do risk. This is where you can do clash detections. You can do issue handling and things like that. And then you have the ISO 19650. But actually to implement it, that's where you need, I tried to put this red circle around it. You need a way of actually managing actors, who is involved and what information do they need. So this work is, the first standards on the line has been published and there are more coming. But I think this is extremely important. So that's my last slide, and then thank you.